Hello, everyone, and welcome to Table Story here on a special day because we get to bring you season 2 of Under the Table live on this brand new premiere. Thanks to you Storians out there for making it possible. So thank you so very much for allowing us to be able to bring this, and not only bring this to all of you, but bring it to you live. You've been asking for it all season 1. You've been like, when is it going to be live? Why is it behind a page? Listen. We have to experiment. You know, we're going through changes. We're growing up. We have left the nest of the TTRPG world to expand into expansions of beyond. And here we are today. And what a best way to bring in season 2 with our special guest of the day. So let me introduce you to one of my really close friends. I consider him a brother, not only because we both are hairless, but because we both believe in the same stuff. Now, one of the owners of Table Story, shoutcaster extraordinaire, you may not know, but this man is an old head with shoutcasting, knows a lot of people that I knew. The world is this small in the industry, and I was blessed enough to know him. Storyteller extraordinaire, you may know him as the DM of Doom, aka the storyteller that rolls crits all the time. We don't understand why his dice are cracked, but they are cracked. And not only that, he has future amazing stuff coming your way. My good friend Chris, aka you may know him as the Wacksteven. Welcome to Under the Table season 2 premiere. Thank you for being here, Wack.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
So let's start off. I always give you all, you beautiful guests, a chance to go ahead and give people a little bit of surface about you, just in case those don't know you. But if you're on this channel, you don't know who Wacksteven is, you got a problem. Let's go ahead.
So go ahead.
All right.
That's the intro, everybody. Hey, yes, I am I'm one of the owners here at Table Story. I help run things. I do a lot of the day-to-day stuff, podcasts, and all that kind of stuff. And I've been doing this now for a while. The years just kind of catch up with you, don't they? Been doing it for a while now, and it's been fantastic. But yeah, we do tabletop role-playing games here. If you're for some reason unfamiliar with the channel and you're watching this show, I feel like it's a weird one to get started with. But hey, at least you get the behind the scenes. I'm one of the GMs here, and we I think we do a level of immersion that you don't really get to see on other TTRPG channels. And with Brad and PB and now with Techniq, we're creating something special here. So hopefully we get to talk a little bit about how all that stuff has happened and what we're about and how we do it today.
Very well put. Yes, we are. I brought on. Thank you for that. And I'll do a quick little reason how that all happened. Just because it might be like, who the heck is this guy, man? You know, he's normally in makeup. You probably don't even know what I look like. Half of you don't know. But I was always trying to edge my way in to help Table Story because I believed in, you know, the image that they had and the vision and the thoughts behind it. And I was always the one that was like, hey, can I pay for a show? Or hey, can I do this and that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, fine. They're like, just enjoy it. And you know, eventually, they brought me on, and it's been great. And I am just working on helping them expand the brand because we have way too much talent on this show. You guys have no idea the cool stuff that's coming down the road. But that's not what it's about. It's about Wacksteven. Thank you again for joining me, buddy. I really appreciate it. Funny story is, guys, I really wanted to bring him on a lot earlier, but the missus of the show, Miss PB, was like, I have a plan. And I was like, that's a great plan. So we went with that plan. So yeah, if those that are hoping to see Miss PB, you have to wait till season 3. So make that happen so you can see her. Okay. So we definitely want to have all the big founders and people that run the show on the show. Now we like to start the show in tradition. And the way we started is a drink of the week, which we can finally say is actually a thing because the show will be weekly and something I have to get used to. So drink of the week. What is your drink of the week, Wack? What did you bring with you today?
I have one of my keto smoothies. This is basically chocolate and peanut butter. It's heavy cream. Okay, so don't do this if you're not on keto because there's a lot of fat in here. That's the premise. There's heavy cream. There is chocolate protein powder. There is stevia drops. There is unsweetened cocoa powder. there is almond milk, and peanut butter.
It looks thick. There's the taste test. All right, swimmingly. Okay, wait. It's supposed to be. He's chugging it, so I mean, it must be good. All right. Well, while he's doing that, I'm going to tell you about my drink. I typically like to match the energy of our guests, so typically I like the alcoholic beverages, but I didn't want to, break the keto. Okay, he's still going. Now, if he has to use the bathroom mid talk show, I told him there's no bathroom break, so you just have to go right there. I hope he has a bucket ready. All righty. Well, that's how you do keto. So if you make this drink, you have to chug it. So I have a strawberry protein shake here. It is not as thick, and I will not be chugging this because I don't think I can't hold out. Okay. Dang, wow. Okay, you finished that whole thing. Hope you have water. Delicious.
It doesn't sound like it's delicious.
No,
Frank.
it's.
Hey, did you goof? Did you mate?
It's watery and it has that aftertaste, and I can still taste the powder. Yeah, that thing is that's 20 grams of protein. So we're gonna just hold on to that. I did do a workout right before the show, so it'll go where it needs to go, or it'll come out. All right, so let's moving on. So the way you make that protein shake, do you put natural peanut butter inside of it, or you just?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's unsweetened peanut butter that goes in there. It's just natural. When you get the natural peanut butter stuff, it's kind of that oily.
Yeah.
You have to put it in the fridge if you want it to be like kind of solidified.
Yeah.
So I don't really do that. I just leave it out, and it makes it easier to blend.
Yeah, gets that little wetness on it. You just go for it. I used to keep a thing of peanut butter in my car in the this is so bad. Okay. In the glove compartment, just whip that bad boy out and eat before football practice and go. I mean, it was my thing. All right, so icebreaker time. So another tradition we do on this show is icebreakers. Typically, some guests come on and they're kind of nervous, and I will tell you, the guests will definitely be nervous because this is live. All right, now we'll make a short little. I'm sorry.
I said I'm not nervous.
Oh yeah, he's not nervous. Of course, he does this all the time. But there are some guests that are nervous, and there is a disclaimer. So some shows may be pre-recorded at the discretion of the guest. I do leave that option open because some things are said and they may not want it in there. Wacksteven, aka Chris here, has, or I should say Chris, aka Wacksteven here, has volunteered to be live and organic, which I like it. So with that, we do an icebreaker. So let's start with the name. So I will tell you guys a brief little story. The screen name is Wacksteven. I've called him Steven probably for 2 years. He never corrected me.
I don't think it was that long.
I think it was 2 years.
So.
Because then I transitioned to Wack when people start giving me weird looks. So yeah. All right, let's just say a year. Let's say a year. It was definitely long. It was longer than I would even let somebody call me the wrong name. So you want to give a story behind why you called yourself Wacksteven, not Wack Chris or something, or Chris Steven? I don't know.
Sure. I've told this story a few times, but I'm sure there's lots of people that haven't heard it. It's the equivalent of any Twitch stream when you turn it on and you have to tell the same story 800 times because somebody just joined and they ask you that question. But I don't mind. It's not a super complicated story or anything. I had a friend. I went to art school, and I had a friend that was a graffiti artist, and he, we were pretty close friends, and I always had this sort of stigma for graffiti artists because it just, I hadn't really seen a lot of really cool pieces. And I hadn't really grown up that way. I hadn't seen that or experienced that very much. So we were hanging out. We went on a road trip for Thanksgiving. He invited me to his family's place for Thanksgiving. So we did a long road trip, and we came across a billboard. And the billboard said, "Nervous Charlie's Fireworks." And I saw that, and I was like, see, now that's a graffiti name. And he's like, dude, that's a terrible graffiti name. I'm like, hey, guess what? All graffiti names are terrible. They're all horrible, and they make no sense. You just want to make them look cool, and that's fine. but let's be honest about it. So we had this debate about how all graffiti names are stupid, and I just started coming up with graffiti names that were ridiculous. And I said, we'll go with Nervous Charlie. That's one. And then we came up with Wacksteven was another. And as soon as I said it, he's like, dude, that's you. I was like, all right, thanks, buddy.
Okay, well,
thanks, buddy. And Mild Alvin was our third one that we came up with. Just the worst names possible. And we talked, just stupid road trip talk. We were just chatting and figuring out like, well, how would you do that? Like, what would the piece look like, if you did that? So it was art talk between two art school students about graffiti. And and then he just kind of ran with it and was like, what's up, Wacksteven? Like every time we saw each other. And one of our other friends, I started calling Mild Alvin, because he looked like a Mild Alvin.
Wow.
And the buddy who named me Wacksteven, I was calling Nervous Charlie all the time. So we did a few jokes here and there, a few over the years we'd make some like art. We'd actually invest time and make stupid art pieces and make them look like ridiculous, and we'd base them on those names.
So the real question is, are you still friends?
Nope.
Okay. Probably because of the names.
I haven't talked to him in many years.
Yeah. No, that's a very interesting story. I mean, I'm thinking that you didn't go with Mild Alvin. We would have had to talk with that one.
Yeah.
So
it's just a horrible name. Yeah. They're all horrible.
Yeah,
all of them
really,
are terrible.
really bad. But I mean, you stuck with it. So apparently you liked Wacksteven so much. And maybe being named that was special to you and just rolled with it. And now here you are.
No. Let's clear the air here. There's nothing special about it. I just am of the opinion that you shouldn't be giving yourself a nickname. It should come from somebody else.
Oh.
And that was the one that happened. So I rolled with it. That's what I did. I rolled with it.
For years.
Mm-hmm.
Will you ever change it?
Maybe.
Okay. I was trying to see how much you were attached to that name.
I don't care. To me, none of this stuff. The only thing that matters to me is stuff that I create. Okay. So if I create a show, or if I do, that's stuff that I actually care about. The name doesn't mean anything to me. It really doesn't. I could, if I could just somehow magically retain all of the knowledge about people knowing this name or associating me with various shows or Table Story, whatever. If I could suddenly just migrate my branding to a new name, I do it. I have no attachment. It doesn't matter to me at all.
I did that. I did full-time DJing up and down the East Coast, and it was a name I don't want to say because I hate the name. And then when I got in the stream, I didn't expect to have a name until I made the name myself with this beautiful name right here. That's when it became attached. You don't believe that there's the artist behind the work should be notable? You just don't care about that?
I don't care. Yeah, I really don't. To me, this is a name. This is these names that we come up with, these nicknames or whatever, these online handles. I have no attachment to them because the comparison that I like to make is the actions that you undertake and that you do are significantly more important than a name that's fabricated. It doesn't matter.
Interesting.
However you live your life, however you treat other people, however you create things, whatever you do with that name is significantly more important than the name. The name doesn't mean anything. I don't care.
Interesting. I find that it's very, very interesting. I've always thought that the name is what people remember, because I don't want them to be like, hey, remember that brown guy that did that show, what was that show, it's like, oh, Techniq, oh yeah, he does this, so it's just like your craft, your name is the signature on your craft. So when somebody comes up to you, you get famous in 2 years, your show's on a cinematic screen, and everybody's like, holy crap, sign my autograph. I mean, you sign it as I guess Chris, but then they're gonna be like, who's this Wacksteven? So now you have to start thinking about, especially since we're transitioning and we're expanding and things are getting better, like, what name do I want attached to my work? So yeah, like art like the Mona Lisa does exist, but people know the artist. So it's just kind of like, it's a very interesting thought. When we do make these online handles, we don't think about that stuff. We just think about, hey, it's just a persona. But now it's attached to work that we're doing. So
it was, I mean, when I rolled with it, it was, 2000.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, 2003, 2002, 2003.
Yeah. So now we have to think about those things. We're going to revisit this question towards the end of the show, and I want to see if your mind changes once we get through some things. So creativity, the cool thing, I think one of the things that made us mesh really well is that we both kind of had similar upbringings when it comes to creativity. We kind of went into college with one thing, and then we ended up both settling on graphic design. We have these real laughs about how horrible graphic design portfolio reviews are and all this good stuff. So let's start from the beginning. When you were a kid, what was the one thing that you thought you attached to, and has that changed as the time went by as growing up?
Oh yeah, definitely. So being, I was always artistically inclined. I love to do art in general. I just liked to create things. That was my big passion. I just like to create things. I like to create drawings or paintings or really anything along those lines. But drawing was the easiest thing, I guess, when I was a kid to just jump into and create. And it started with comic books and, cartoons and stuff like that. I copied, like Ninja Turtles and that kind of thing. And I'd copy comic books and I'd try and draw the covers or like a really cool scene or whatever. And that was always there from a very young age. I created my own like little comic strips, and I created. I loved making like flip books when I was like a teenager. I made a lot of flip books on the edges of like textbooks. And like really long books. Those stick men? I just talked to Brad about this like yesterday, the day before. But those little like stick figure animations that people would put like on newsgrounds and stuff like that. And I used to do I used to do those on the bottoms of textbooks, and it'd be like Mortal Kombat, all that kind of stuff, and it'd be like crazy, like super bloody, completely disregard anything that happened in class, and I'd just be drawn there. Didn't do well that year. So I always had this passion for creating stuff, and I think probably when I was about 13, one of my friends was doing computer animation, and I think I was interested in some movies. It might have been Jurassic Park. I really can't remember what the initial movie was. I know like Independence Day was a big like special effects thing that I really liked. But there were a lot of animation like books that were coming out, and we didn't have the internet back in the 90s. No. Okay, it wasn't like
not for
anywhere
us anyway.
Close. It wasn't anywhere close to what it is now. I had a computer, yes, but it was a freaking fax modem. You weren't like connected all the time. There wasn't a Google. Searching for stuff was like hard. You had to go to like bulletin boards and all kinds of stuff. So you'd get magazines. Magazines were the big thing. And, I'd get like, I remember going to like a store with my uncle, and I picked up like a 3D animation magazine about special effects and like how they did this stuff in Jurassic Park and Independence Day. And again, keep in mind, we take it for granted now, but like you can just search and get an answer to something in a second, right? That didn't exist back then. You just didn't know the thing. You couldn't you had to go to a library or ask someone else to talk about things and figure out a new thing, to learn something. YouTube wasn't there. So about computer animation, I had to read a magazine and figure out what it was and like how special effects happened, or talk to my friends, or they had a little bit of experience about it. So it was a crazy experience. I read this magazine. I had to figure out, how can I do this? How do I do this now? How can I do this at 13 years old, at 14 years old? How do I do this? And they had a free disc in the book that I picked up, and that was how I did it. It was just because it came with free software. It came with a demo of a software called TrueSpace. I don't know if anybody knows it, but it was a thing. And I started doing animation with that, like 3D animation. And it took over like a lot of my free time. I was spending a lot of time doing it. And slowly but surely over, the course of high school, I like taught myself how to do 3D animation. And I was convinced. I was like, okay, I'm going to get a job with Blizzard in the 3D animation department. Meanwhile, I wasn't doing any like traditional art. I was taking one class that was a colored pencil class outside of high school. Regular art class was like, I didn't really pay any attention to that.
Yeah.
And I went to this colored pencil class, and I would do that, and I would do computer animation. It was kind of the only thing I really cared about back then. And that was always something that was going on. There were a few different occasions where I kind of like stopped for a while or things like that. I played hockey, and that took up a big chunk of time. I got into really good shape, and I was playing a lot of hockey, and I was still doing the animation, but it just kind of dropped off. And then when it came time to figure out a school or like what I wanted to do with my life, I kind of didn't know. I was like, I guess I can do animation. I kind of want to do that. I've got a lot of talent, and I did I took some classes, and my uncle helped me, and I went down I went to New York City, and I took a class there that at 16 years old, I was like one of the youngest people to ever do that, and I got certified in Softimage, which was another 3D animation program. And these were all things that I was kind of like building up a little bit of a resume that I could bring to art school. But I didn't realize until later that I was kind of going through the motions with that. So I went to art school. And again, I love to create. I love to do art. But I didn't realize until I was really almost done with art school that I didn't want to do animation. I thought I did because it was the thing I was passionate about before I went to art school. And I started doing it, and I was like, I don't think I really want to do this. And then I got a little scared, and I was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I came to art school to get a job with Blizzard. That was my goal. And I kind of coasted through a lot of art school. Whenever I actually tried, I did really well, but I didn't try very much. I didn't really go out of my way. And then it came time for the equivalent of like a thesis for art school. And it's really a portfolio. You're presenting a portfolio, and you do it in junior year, and they give you like a chance. It's like, if you don't do well on your portfolio junior year, you can do it senior year. And I had like really bad luck junior year, because I got a really late slot. And anybody that's reviewing portfolios all day, every day for like 2 weeks, I think it was, or something like that, the teachers were just exhausted. Like they didn't want to see anything. They don't care anymore. Get this done. Okay? And we had done like some group projects, and I had a big chunk of my portfolio was like a group project. And I'm the last one in the group that goes and presents this stuff. So I put this video, and then like, we've seen it already. I'm like, oh, okay. Right. So what did you do on the project? I'm like, well, I did these effects, and yeah, they weren't that great. I'm like, okay, damn.
Oh man.
And it was brutal. It was like a brutal like jab, and it made me like look back on all the stuff that I'd done, and I was like, man, everything I've done is shit. Like, how have I gotten this far? How have you allowed me to get this far without like slapping me around and saying, this isn't good, you need to do better? And I tried harder, and I did better. Senior year, I did better. And then I had to present my portfolio again, and it was another insane situation that happened. I had a teacher that I had taken a class with, and she had just decided to impose herself on my review, even though she wasn't attached to my review. They assigned the various teachers or whatever for the, for the course. I had one teacher give me a heads up, like before the review. I was walking to my review, and this other teacher stops me, and she's like, "Oh, just a heads up. So-and-so is going to be there for your review." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Yeah, she said she had something important." I'm like, "What?" Just complete ambush. Shows up at my review and then trashes me in the review.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't believe it. It was so mind-blowing. She shows up and starts... Now, there's a lot of people that don't know a lot about me. Okay? I try to be a nice guy. All right? I try to be very chill. But if I feel like I'm getting bullied, or if there's a situation where I feel like I'm going on the defensive, that's bad. That accesses a part of my brain that I do not like. And now I go into defensive mode, and I am in like fight or flight, and it's usually fight. And it's like, I'm ready to rip somebody's throat out. Like, it's bad. So I opened up on her.
Oh my goodness.
I laid into her, and the dean is sitting next to me for this review. He's right next to me on my right side. I lay into this teacher. I'm like, "How dare you come in here? What? How is this even allowed?" Like, I was just going nuts, and I just destroyed her. And then what ended up happening was, like, the teachers like calmed me down or whatever, and I was fuming. I was like, "I don't care what happens to me. Like, I will make you pay." And I'm not vengeful in the least. But if that part of my brain gets accessed and somebody pushes me that far, it's bad. It's real bad. You guys don't really get to see me like that. I don't do that. But I laid into her, and I had to apologize. And it was the worst shit, like the eating bullshit that I've ever had to do in my life. And it's one of my biggest regrets, and it's one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. And I left that review, and I passed it, but just barely, like I passed it, and I was like, I don't really feel good. I didn't feel like I passed. And I left that, and I was completely annihilated. I was destroyed. I said, "What have I been doing for these last few years?" And I entered this horrible depression, and it was a horrible experience. Now, please tell me, is a teacher supposed to make you feel like that? I mean, come on.
Nah, not at all. They're supposed to inspire you to do better in a good way. Yeah. That's what the job people do. Not the teacher that gets you to the job.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like, I feel like, man, we've had so much similar things happen. I had that happen all my life. People were like, "Oh my God, you're such a great artist. Oh my God, you're such a great artist." Right? Like, they build the head up. And I'm just like, I'm such a great artist. So I'm like doing all this art, and I'm like, I'm ready to take it to Marvel. Never should have did that, ever. Because when I went to these conventions, they had places where you can submit, they had job fairs at conventions. And you would submit your portfolio, and oh my God, I got the editor from Marvel New York, because it was different. There's Marvel LA, Marvel New York, and I got the worst editor. The guy made me feel like I was mush, and I broke my pencils right in front of him, and I tore up my book, and I threw it in the trash, and I left. And I said I will never draw again. It took me 3 years to get past that, and then I ended up was able to do some work for Marvel in here and there. Yeah, I had a similar experience, man, and portfolio reviews suck. It's nuts. But yeah, go ahead.
The way I see it is like it opened up my mind, because before then, I had a very I entered a horrible depression that took me a while to get out of.
Yeah.
But it opened up my mind. It realized, like, I really don't want to do this, you know? And I did all this stuff. And the fact that I just paid all this money and owed all these loans and everything, and it was just a giant waste of time.
Yeah.
Really hurt. But it made me understand. I guess it made me understand that I had to figure stuff out. I had to figure stuff out is what it comes down to. So in a way, it was a good thing.
Yeah, they're learning arcs in our lives that make or break us, but make us into another person. So with that whole scenario, you go through a life with friends, you go through life with experiences, but some leave a lasting hole inside of you, and you find some kind of solace. You find some kind of sanctuary. What made you start to turn the other leaf and say, you know what, this stuff doesn't matter anymore. I learned my lesson. Now I'm feeling myself kind of come out of my shell a little bit.
So again, I entered this depression after that. I didn't graduate. I have, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's like 1 credit left to graduate. I was so disenfranchised, disheartened when this happened that I was convinced it didn't matter. I'm like, what? I'm going to lie to myself and get my degree in this when I obviously don't want to do this, you know? So everything felt like a lie, and I just felt kind of lost. And I like took some other classes and stuff like that, like kind of half-assedly did some online stuff. And it wasn't really clicking, and I was playing a lot of video games and just not doing anything. I was at home, just kind of folding in on myself, and I was away from home too. That was another big thing. I went to school in another state, and I wasn't near any family, and my friends like graduated or they moved, or I had only really a few friends that were nearby, so it was very solitary. And I just kind of fell into Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft. I was playing a lot of Warcraft 3, and then that was what started, doing esports stuff.
So going through all that depression and loneliness and trying to find some kind of attachment, were there anybody that you could talk to, you felt like you could go to, or you just felt like people just didn't understand you and they would give you that stupid over blanket advice?
I was embarrassed. I didn't feel comfortable talking to my parents and telling them that I failed. I dropped out. I failed. I didn't do the thing that I thought I wanted to do. All of this money, all of this time, all of it's been wasted because it's a lie. That's the way that I felt. Everything felt like a lie. And it was like an existential crisis. It was just pure existential crisis. I don't know what to do. I was convinced I was going to be a 3D animator and work for Blizzard. When I started college, I was so convinced. I was so ahead of everybody.
Right.
Nobody in school, aside from my other one friend, was doing 3D animation. I was like, we're ahead of the game. We got this. And it was just an eye-opening experience. And when I went to school at this time, this was the transitional time for 3D animation and 2D animation. Toy Story had just come out, So nobody knew how to teach it yet. It didn't really exist. So this was like the learning period. We had teachers that were going to night class to learn software. That was the teacher that had the problem with me, by the way. That's when I laid into her about that. I was like, you're going to night school to learn the program that you're teaching us.
Yeah.
I went nuts. It was horrible. It was a transitional time. And then when I was in this depression, when I was trying to figure out what to do next, I just kind of fell in on myself. I mean, a lot of people that have depression, and sad to say, but I know a lot of people online get this way, where you feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
And, you know, you just kind of fold in on yourself. And in reality, that's one of the worst things you can do. You know, I've been there. I know how it feels. And you fold in on yourself. You don't feel like you have a future. And I guess I just kind of gave up a little bit at that point. And I started playing video games. And then just one day I heard somebody shoutcasting Warcraft 3. And I was like, I've got a good voice. I was like, I can do that. And I just asked one day. I was like, hey, do you need somebody else to do this? He's like, oh, send me a demo. Here's a match. Broadcast it. Record it. Send it to me. And I did. And he was like, yeah, this is good. And then I started doing it. And I started covering tournaments and stuff. And then DJ Wheat heard me. And then we developed a relationship. He showed me to some of the other people that were working at the time at the Tribes Sportscast Network.
Oh, man.
TSN.
It's really old school.
Yeah. And I was doing Warcraft 3. And while that was going on, I started to do some StarCraft stuff. And we started going on trips and traveling, and I started going to shoutcast this stuff. And for those that are unfamiliar with shoutcasting, it was in Winamp. There was a plugin for a program called Winamp, because all the bandwidth and everything that we have now didn't really exist 20 years ago. And that's crazy to even say. It was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I started broadcasting. And it was like December 2003, I think, that I went to the first, my first World Cyber Games. And I started covering that. And, you know, DJ Wheat and I became good friends. And we kept doing shoutcasting stuff together for a few years. And then I stopped doing it. I had relationship issues at the time, and I started to play World of Warcraft, and I fell into another kind of like little depression, I guess. I stopped doing things for a little while, and I moved back home, and I had to get a job. I needed money. I had to get a job, and I had to get more income. So I got 2 jobs, and then I just started busting my ass. And one of those jobs was as a graphic designer.
Yeah, that world. Oh man. So let's revisit one of these things. So depression is something that's, you know, everyone deals with in their own way. Looking back at everything, do you still have times where you feel lonely and you feel like you are falling into yourself, even with all these glorious people around? And if you do, what kind of triggers that feeling, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh yeah, for sure. It happens kind of regularly, honestly. It has to do with just no in real life social interaction, I think, is the foundation. I have to balance these thought processes that happen in my mind because I'm an introverted person. But you have to also still be around people, and you still have to go out and do things. Yeah. And I try to force myself to do these things. Brad has talked about this stuff before, where he will force himself. He's like, oh, I haven't gone outside for 2 weeks. I have to force myself to go to hang out with a friend, you know, for the night. I have to go to a pub, and I have to go, you know, just shoot the shit. So I will force myself to do those things. I try to force myself to exercise, and I force myself to diet, because I think a lot of those feelings can happen if you're not treating yourself well. If you're not taking care of yourself, your physical state has a lot to do with how you're feeling mentally, I think. And you have to try and keep those things in balance. And if you're feeling really bad mentally, whenever I recognize that, I try and be like, okay, go work out, go exercise, make sure you're eating right, you know, eat a good breakfast, go to sleep at a reasonable hour, etc. Get sunlight. And that's a good reset. I feel like that's a really grounding thing to do. And I try and spend time with friends. And as you get older, It gets harder to spend time with people in real life.
Yeah.
So I try and do it at least online.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a good topic to talk about. So those that don't know, I'm still dealing with depression, but I went into a really bad depression when I hit 40 last year. I still don't know the answers to a lot of things, but I kind of changed my mindset on the life and take it day by day. Heck, I was taking it hour by hour at a point. When you hit that number in your 40s, do you start reflecting on things like, man, I'm really lonely, and you start finding these things that you think you should have at this age? Does that affect you at all, or you kind of just put that in your back pocket and run with it?
No, for sure. It definitely affects me. Everybody's different. Everybody has different fears. Everybody has different anxieties. I don't get afraid of a lot of things that people normally get afraid of. I'm afraid of practical stuff, money, stuff like that.
Stuff that can actually end you.
Yeah, taxes and stuff like that. That's when my anxiety spikes. That's when I actually get scared. But yeah, I think about that stuff a lot, man. I mean, it's definitely, a thing that I think about a lot. I'm always worried as an introverted person. Can I be in a long-term relationship with somebody all the time? Have a person around all the time. As an introverted person myself, can I be in a really, long-term relationship? The longest relationship I've ever had was 2 years. And it was long distance. And I was like, well, it kind of worked for me, because being around somebody 24/7, I don't know if my brain can handle it a lot of times. And then there's also the times where, I get really depressed, where I'm like, everything is overwhelming because I have to do everything myself as a single person. I have to get up and I have to go make breakfast. I have to clean. I have to do all the normal stuff that a person has to do by myself. And then I have to do my job as well. And when you're in a relationship where you have a partner, you kind of cover each other. You're like, okay, I have to do this. Do you think you could get dinner tonight? I was like, I can make it tomorrow or whatever. Do you think you could get the dishes? I'm going to be working late or whatever. You can have those conversations or arguments or whatever. But ultimately you help each other. So you get that stuff is definitely, it's always present there. It's absolutely a concern, and it's something that I always kind of have to fight myself with, where it's like, can I be that person? Can I be that person in that relationship, have somebody around, all day, every day, and still be me and still be a decent person? Or am I going to be a shithead? I don't know. I think about that stuff. So it's definitely there.
Not only just say, I mean, having someone there to talk about the awesome stuff, like, oh my God, I had this great day at work today, or I had this great thing happen. Those things do get, I kind of can relate to that growing up as the only child. And this is so weird to say, but playing video games, let's just say that. And I beat the boss. Like, I remember in Final Fantasy 7, I beat the Ruby weapon, and I was like, oh my God, I beat the Ruby, and there's no one to talk to. There's no one there. It's just me. So I had to create imaginary friends, so to speak, to enjoy those moments, but it's not the same, and then when you get to this age, you're just like, man, is this it for me? I'm 40. I may only have 40 extra years if I'm lucky. What
it's called a midlife crisis for a reason. I mean, everybody goes through it. Everybody wonders, what now? What am I going to do? I feel like I had mine pretty early. I think that the transition from college to the depression era was the beginning of my midlife crisis. And then I had a few years where it just kind of dragged on. And, I think it's normal. I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
We got the world is tough now. It's gotten harder, and you got to give yourself as many breaks as you can. It's okay. It's okay not to fit the stereotype, to fit the mold, to not be married. It's okay to not have kids. Like, I was of the opinion, like, for me, like, if kids happened, they just would happen. I was kind of ambivalent about it. I had talked about it with my partners through the years, and it was just like, I never really had a solid choice on it. And I think probably over like the last few years, I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if it's really for me. And I guess I'm still of the opinion, like, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not going to stress myself about it. I'm not like on a countdown, despite the fact that my parents want me on a countdown. Yeah, it's not, I guess I've fallen, I definitely still think about those things. They definitely still crop up. They can definitely still happen and spawn more depression. But I think I'm less worried about that than society.
You know, that's a great thing to say, and I'm glad you found that. But you know, society, it does play a huge role in all of our lives. Unfortunately, I believe everyone has to measure themselves to something, and sometimes it's good to just measure yourself against your own, you know, thoughts and beliefs and like your progression and stuff like that. But the pressure that society puts on us, especially, and I can only speak to this because I am of the male the variety here on men in general. Like, you know, a lot of people tell us we're not supposed to be emotional. A lot of people say we're supposed to be hardened. And I grew up in that, right? I grew up in that idea of like, you need to be alpha male, hunt, you know? And it's just like, no, I want to cry right now. You know, like, I am not okay. Is it okay to say I'm not okay? And go through that stuff. And then society tells you in relationships, you by age 28, you need to be thinking about kids, and you should have a job and a house by 30, and all these little like life check marks. And when we fall out of that routine, it affects us, you know. And there's times, and I don't know if you've done this, Wack, but there's times where I'll smile and say I'm okay, but I am destroyed inside, you know. And like,
oh, for sure, I think everybody does it. Yeah,
when you face your parents, like, how did you deal with that? Your parents are there, and they, you know they love you, but you can't talk to them about everything. How do you interject them in your life and still keep that emotional bond, but still able to step forward in life without feeling like you're gonna fall down?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my short answer to that is I don't have a super tight relationship with my parents. And I think a lot of it for me is kind of embarrassment that I don't have the same goals that they do or had in life. Like, you know, those expectations are there, that you're talking about, where you have those, you know, gotta have kids, gotta get married, gotta have a house. You know, I don't have those same feelings. They don't exist. So for me, in communicating with my parents, it's been one of these situations where I didn't feel happy until Table Story. I didn't actually feel happy. Full stop. I just didn't feel happy. So growing up and doing all these things really felt like I was going through the motions. There were probably only a handful of times where I felt really happy, where I was excited about the day or what I was doing at the moment. Hockey made me really happy. I really enjoyed that period of my life playing hockey. That was great. And I went through high school and school and college, and it was really a minimum amount of happiness.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I had the portfolio review and everything, I think that was the real kicker. I was like, I haven't been happy. I just haven't been happy. So it took me many, many, many years to find the thing that actually brings me joy in life. And it was tabletop role-playing games.
I'm glad you said that, because that was my next question. So when did that kick in for you? Because me growing up in school, when I was in high school, gosh, so weird to reflect on how old we are. I mean, we're not old, and I keep saying that. It's just like 20 years ago doesn't feel like 20 years ago until you say the date, you know? World of Warcraft just came out. All this stuff was just happening. Online gaming was becoming a thing. But I always heard about D&D, but it was always stereotypical. Hey, some bunch of neckbeards down in the basement playing D&D. And I was like, well, that ain't for me. I better stay away from that, you know? When did that enter your life? When did you decide to say, hey, you know, nothing's really making sense or making me happy. Let me try this tabletop gaming thing, because online gaming ain't for me anymore. How did this all work out for you?
So I think it just stemmed from not being happy. I mean, that's what it was. And I was trying to branch out and find things that would make me happy. And it happened kind of all at once. It was just, I just remember, you know, when I was doing graphic design, I was going to work every day and I was just angry. I was angry. I was trying to do artwork, but the job that I had didn't really, I was getting interrupted constantly. I was kind of a manager as well. So it was just like, if anybody, I haven't been tested for ADHD, but I'm pretty sure like I have it to some degree, where if somebody breaks my focus, I get so upset, man. It ruins me. And I just remember constantly getting interrupted and like I'd be working on something. It took me so long to concentrate.
So what about, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see it.
That's good. Finally, like focusing on this art piece and like getting it done and like getting into the flow and like, yeah, this is great. Like I'm doing this. And then like I get a phone call or be like, oh, I got a meeting. Oh, my boss is going to just ask me stupid fucking questions over and over again until I want to die. And it was just like, I was so tired of it. And I was just like, looking for something, and you know, at the time nobody was really doing it except for on Geek and Sundry they had Will Wheaton's tabletop show. This was the first thing that I saw that really blew my mind. It was a combination of, I think, like 3 things. First was Will Wheaton's tabletop show on Geek and Sundry. They played Dragon Age, the TTRPG, and I was watching it. And I was kind of like this. This is what it is? Fuck me. God damn it. I like all of these things. I could have been doing this the whole time. Mother of God. Yeah. I was so upset because it was a combination of so many things that I enjoyed. I was like, oh, it's creative writing, and I loved, like I said, I love to create things. I loved creative writing. I always found I found myself to be pretty good at like playing a character or like being able to imagine characters.
Yes.
And I think it's one of the things I have a talent for, that I'm able to just kind of like jump into a character pretty easily. I can hear them in my head. I can figure out what they're about and just kind of jump into it. So I had a passion for that, and it was the conglomeration of so many things that I like, and I was just kicking myself so hard that it took this long because I had that stigma that so many people had growing up where it was too nerdy.
Yeah.
For who? Yeah. I was already a nerd at the nerd table.
Box already checked.
The box is checked already. What are you doing? It was absolutely the dumbest thing that I've done throughout my entire life, where I just disregarded something because it was too nerdy. Where's the line? And like, what are you thinking, you idiot?
Thanks, society.
Yeah. That's what it was. It was because we're bombarded by this thing where it's presented like this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. So that was happening the whole time. And and then I watched that and I'm like, what else is out there? It's like, is anybody else doing this? Like, is this a thing? Like, what? And I started watching stuff, and I'm like, oh, Penny Arcade had their own. They just started a thing as well. They had just started Acquisitions Incorporated, and you know that turned into like a huge podcast thing. And I loved that. I loved it. And also, Koibu ran something on ImmeJP's channel with a few people that I knew. I was like, oh, I know In Control. He's, an esports guy. I was like, I did a show and he was on the show. I know him and he's on, and I know JP.
JP was esports.
Yeah. So like this was all happening like at the same time, and then it was just percolating in my head. I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. I was like, I can do it, right? What do I have to do? So I just went on Twitter one day and I was like, hey, does anybody want to play a TTRPG? I had followers from my show days and from broadcasting days on Twitter, and I did a show with DJ Wheat for a couple years, and I was kind of known in the esports community, so like people just kind of chimed in and were like, hey, yeah, I'll play, and we played Pathfinder, and it was awesome, and I was like,
there it is. The world I've been waiting for.
Is this happiness?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really interesting because I don't know if you've seen it, but I literally just saw him revisit those years and light up, and it was like he found happiness during this talk. So you can tell when someone is really, really into something and enjoys something, and something that really was a defining moment in their lives. When they speak about it, that's passion right there, and you gotta love it up. Just to interject in between this real quick, I just want to let you guys know, I forgot to tell you in the beginning of the show, because I typically record these, is that if you have questions or anything that you want to ask, please take those to Discord. Wack will respond to those questions in Discord. The reason why this is more of like a one-on-one thing, I'm not ignoring, he's not ignoring you, but take all of those questions to Discord. This is a new format we're going to try because we want you to be more active in Discord, because your question might spark some really great ideas and questions for other people to continue the conversation. So we love to have it there. But yeah, I felt the same exact way you felt, because like I said, society has told me that it's a bunch of people in a dungeon basement eating Cheetos with Cheeto stains on their t-shirts with capes. I mean, that's literally what it was. There's also
nothing wrong with that, by the way.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I don't
that actually makes you happy, go for it.
100%. I'm a firm believer. A lot of people ask me why, when you go to a video game that you're enjoying, why do you buy the deluxe editions? Why do you buy why you spend hundreds of dollars on those figures and all that stuff? Because it makes me happy. It's entertainment. I'd rather spend money on that than go somewhere and spend money on something that I'm not going to enjoy. So yeah, do that stuff, man. If you're that stereotypical quote unquote, be stereotypical quote unquote, because anybody can take your happiness away. I fully agree with that. But I was always interested in it because I thought it was very interesting. I always had a mind. It's funny that we're bringing this up, Chris, because I was on Instagram scrolling and they came up with this thing and I could never really put a word with it, and I don't remember the word. So chat, if you can help me. There's a word about how you use your imagination, and there's different degrees that people can use their imagination. Not everyone has a vivid imagination. So the test was, if you can imagine an apple, a physical apple in your brain, like the dimensions, everything, your imagination is very expanded. You think with a certain part of your brain, but not everybody can do that. And I never thought that was a thing. I'll bring them up. Speaking about Phelan, you guys might know her on our shows, and Lindsay's on our shows. And she came to me one time, and it was during 100 Club, and she was like, I have a hard time imagining what is actually going on when I hear the DM speak. It's what he's saying. It's not in my head. And I was like, how is that even possible?
It's a condition.
It's a condition. It's a real thing. And I had no idea. So you saying like, oh my God, I love seeing this stuff. When I watched people do TTRPGs and I was asked the one, I was very skeptical. I was like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? Like all these like random questions. Am I going to get shamed on for doing this? And I tried it. And when the DM at the time, I think it was Bubbanot. He was my first DM because he really wanted me on the show. And I had him, it was me, him, Ellaheim, Lily Vanilli, and someone else, can't remember, top of my head. When he started talking and painting the picture, my brain was like, it like expanded, and I was seeing everything, and I was just like, holy crap, is this TTRPGs? What have I been doing with my life? This is what I've been wanting to do. This is great, and this was like a big break. I got really bad news about acting that year, and everything was going on in a negative way. So it's really nice hearing that you had that same realization. Like, I think I found my niche. I think I found it. So my leading question is, it's like, did you jump into DMing, or were you just playing? Like, you took the dive?
Good question. So a little bit of both is the short answer. First and foremost, I was like, I will run one session and see what that's like. Oh, it was a clusterfuck. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but somebody's got to do it. That's the thing. Anybody that's been in these situations, if you have a group of friends, somebody's got to be in charge. They got to be the game master or the dungeon master or whatever. Somebody has to take that role. So I did one session as the GM, and I was like, I'm overwhelmed. And I was just like, I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I can actually do this. I need to learn more first. One of my other friends, 12th Doc, at the time, I convinced him straight up, like begged and pleaded, like, dude, can you, we asked the group of people that wanted to play, like, does anybody have any DM experience? Crickets. Just crickets, nothing. And then it was like, I think it was the everybody was under the impression, like, well, you're the quasi celebrity, like, aren't you gonna do it? No. I don't know what I'm doing. So it was a lot of that. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, somebody's got to try it. We got to do it.
Yeah.
So 12th Doc he's like, I've done it before. And we're like, well, you've got the most experience. Time to get started. And bless him, he just kind of rolled with it, and we did Pathfinder, we did Rise of the Rune Lords.
Oof, Pathfinder back then.
Yeah, and that was the first system that I did, so it was a lot. It was pretty tough to start that way, and that was before 5e. So 5e didn't exist yet, and we were playing that. And it was going on for a while, and I was kind of like, I was picking stuff up pretty quick. When I actually like something and I focus on it, I can learn it really fast. So I watched him do his thing, and I was like, I think I'm ready. I think I can do this now. And I just I asked everybody, like, would we be okay if I ran something? And I have an idea for a homebrew thing. Let me do this. And I made what I called at the time the Order of the Word. And it was about basically a people that were essentially kidnapped to be a part of this secret society that were in charge of this tome of like horrors, basically, like this horrible tome. And it was one of those things where nobody really knew what it was, and like these people were like volunteered by their parents to be a part of this thing, and like, I was so convinced it was like the greatest thing ever, and it was the first thing that you GMing, and it's crap. But that's the way that it goes. You're not gonna be hitting home runs on your first at bat, So I created this thing, and I had a few really good ideas, and it was just absolute crap. Like, I just loaded up a stream. I didn't really have any solid graphics or anything. It took a long time for me to like figure out overlays, and it was just like a giant me on screen, like a giant camera of me, and it was just kind of awkward, and they didn't want to be on camera, so it was just me on camera, and like I had it was a mess. But over time I developed it, and it just took a lot of practice.
And now you can run 50 gazillion tabs and production and still somehow make it work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to ask, man. I mean, over time, I've been asked multiple times to DM, so I was like, no, I have to be ready. I don't know when that will ever happen. But so now that you picked up DMing, you were like, I can do this. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I found happiness. First question is, how do you explain this to your parents? Because when you find happiness, they're probably noticing like, wow, you look a little happy. Did you find someone, honey? Yes, her name is TTRPG. Yeah. How did that work?
Yeah. It was a difficult thing. So I was doing it while I had a full-time job. And I progressively did it more. So full-time job. And at one time I ran 4 shows simultaneously with a full-time job. And I was just going nuts. Like this was maximum brain power, maximum effort. Like for anybody anywhere close to a table story level production, whenever you're running anything and GMing it and producing it and doing all this stuff, it's like taking a final exam in college, okay? That's how taxed your brain is for the entire show. And I do that every week. And I was doing it 4 times a week back then, plus full-time job.
This is on your own channel?
Yeah, this was on my own channel.
Wow.
This was under my brand when I was doing it. It was Turn Order. And I was getting more and more into it, and I cared less and less about what was going on at work, and I was just so angry that I wasn't playing TTRPGs when I was at work. I was like, this is the only thing I can think about. I was like, that's happiness. I want to latch onto that. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I need money, so I'm going to do this, but what am I going to do? So I was doing that, and I didn't really talk about it very much with my parents at the time. It didn't really like enter the possibility of becoming a future until I actually stopped doing graphic design. And then those conversations happened, and they were rough. They were rough conversations. Because I had done broadcasting before, and I didn't make any money with broadcasting. Like that was, I mean, if you guys knew how much corporations and like big companies, huge companies that have so much money to pay people just to be there, didn't pay us. It's staggering.
It's still happening, by the way.
It still happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would get literally nothing for all of this time.
Exposure. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Dude, we'd work 10, 12-hour days and stuff doing broadcasting and wouldn't see a penny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nuts. Like, we had to fight for like a few $100. I mean, anybody these days, any like content creator, influencer, or anybody, I mean, even on the very bottom of the totem pole, would have been shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. I mean, I remember BlizzCon 2005. Okay, I did that. And I remember I had like, somebody told me like you had 100,000 downloads for the game that you just did. I was like, what? How many? 100,000? And I'm just sitting back like the Winnie the Pooh meme. Woo! Like disassociating, like, how have I not made any money?
Yeah. If you've made $1 per, it would have been great.
Yeah. Like, come on. And that was when it was audio only.
Yeah.
Audio only, people.
Yeah.
That's crazy to have 100,000. Like, that was nuts. It was crazy. Big companies that just didn't pay anybody anything. And we just went with it because it was like, yeah, this is fun. This is video games. Yay. So when I had to have these conversations with my parents, I think that's the default mindset. Well, you didn't make any money when you did broadcasting. Yeah, I got to travel a lot. I got to go all over the US. I got to go to Korea. I got to go to Singapore. But I didn't make any money. So that's the default thing. And I remember I had a conversation with my mom about it, and I was like, this is the first thing that's made me happy in my life. I said, let me ask you a question. All those years you went to work, all those years you did all this different jobs that you did, were you happy at any job that you did? And she couldn't answer. And I was like, well, that's the answer then. You know, I was like, that's why I'm doing this. Is it a little bit of money? Yeah, I'm not really making very much money, but it makes me happy. I'll take this any day over doing the graphic design work. Any day. I don't want to be angry every day. I don't want to drive to work white knuckling the steering wheel. I gotta go through fucking traffic. I gotta drive through the snow in my shitty car and drive to work like ugh. And it was also a dead end job as well.
Yeah.
Like that job didn't have a future either. So, you know, I was like, if I do this, it's all on me. It's all on me. I don't have to report to anybody else. I don't have to say, okay, boss, I did, you know, what do you want me to do today? It's all on me. It's all on Brad. It's all on PB, you know, and you, and we are our own future.
Yes.
We have to decide where we go. We are responsible for what happens. So if we don't do well, that's on us. But if we do well, we see all the benefit.
Yep. It's a great way to put it.
So that's what I tell people. I tell people I'm happy with this job. Are you like if I ever get any shit is what I'm getting at. Like if I ever have, you know, because I have some relatives that are kind of assholes, or they'll be like, what kind of shit is that? You know, like some like backhanded, you know, they think they're funny or whatever. I'm like, well, I go to work happy every day.
You wake up knowing where you're going, knowing what you're doing. Yeah, it's that's such a hard thing to you know. We typically get really defensive and upset when people question our judgments about what makes us happy, because they'll always come back and say, you know, are you happy? But like, I'm doing what I'm happy. Why are you doing that? What's the point of me even telling you then? Like, you know, I was in the same position when I worked in IT for hospital, corporate IT, and it's a great job to tell people, what do you do? Software engineering. No, it ain't like that. First of all, the title is pretty, but it ain't that great, you know? And then when I finally took the risk to leave and do content creation full time, man, I was reborn. I woke up that morning, I was like, I remember. Yeah, I'm gonna kill it. I changed my name. I did everything. I went to a whole brand change. I said, if this doesn't work out, it's okay. I saved money for a year. I'm gonna take this risk. And don't let nobody tell you, money makes me very happy. Okay? But what makes me even more happier is being my own boss and having people around me with like-minded goals. Like having you, PB, and Brad around me, and then like our other friends. Dude, I wake up smiling. When doing this show, I was so happy. I was talking a mile a minute to Wag when he came. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this today. He's like, yeah, act like I don't do this shit every day, you know? But I'm just like, I don't care. I'm just like super happy to be around like-minded people. And that's so important. You know, it's like being in a dead-end job that may pay you well. Those people are never happy. You hear about those, I'm not gonna get down that road, but you hear about people just having really crappy lives that make tons of money. You know, everyone is superficial around them. You know, people are just looking at their success. They're not looking at what really makes them tick. So, speaking about what really makes you tick, when did you become the DM of doom, man? You know, you found the happiness. Now it's time to ruin people's lives as a DM. Table Story came around. What happened with all of that?
Yeah. So it spawned from just me rolling like crazy crits. I rolled crazy amounts of crits when we were playing these games. And one day I just changed my name on Roll20 to like DM of Doom, and I had like 5 O's in it. Because I rolled like insane crits one time. Like I was just like, how many crits did I have this episode? I had like 7 crits or something, and it was just crazy. And then they're like, if you were rolling real dice, you know, you wouldn't. This is GM bias, or you know, whatever. Like in you know, just joking, but right. But like I was like, okay. And I like got some regular dice, and I started rolling those. I was like, that's a natural 20. Like, what the hell, man? I was like, yeah, I just know how to roll dice. And and I just ran with it. It was just a stupid joke one day, and I was like, well, that's just what I'm gonna call myself now.
And it's true. You have the fabled dice. It's not a myth, everyone. I've seen them in person, and it sucks. Okay. And my first dice are really bad. Those things are just on display. But it's great seeing you happy. Table Story came around. You started finding friends and family members now. The bond that you, PB, and Brad have, seeing it firsthand is wild, because you don't really not everyone gets to find people like that in life. So what do you think, to a degree, does being around people like that really help give yourself a boost in happiness and a boost in your business?
It's everything. It's everything is the short answer there. Whatever you do in your life, part of how you make yourself happy is to surround yourself with people that make you happy. If you're in a toxic relationship, or you have a friend that just kind of makes you feel like shit all the time, they shouldn't be your friend.
And they aren't your friend.
Full stop.
Yeah.
They're not your friend. They shouldn't be your friend. If somebody just makes you feel like shit every day that you are with them, it's time to end your relationship. Move on. Because that is a negative relationship in your life that you don't need. And I know it sounds easy, but you just cut them out. They don't deserve a spot in your life if they're going to treat you that way. And if they want to, they can be a part of your life, but they have to change. They have to change who they are. And if they question why they are no longer a part of your life, you tell them and say, if you want to be a part of my life, you're going to have to be a better person towards me. I don't want to feel shitty every time I interact with you. That's not a good relationship. That's toxic. And
hard lesson to learn.
It is a hard lesson to learn. I think, like, again, this is after hitting like rock bottom several times in my life, where I realized if somebody doesn't like me, then fuck them. That's my opinion. Fuck them. I don't need you. I don't need you.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, you notice the people that remain are they're your best friends, and they enrich your life.
Yeah.
You cull the bad stuff from your life, and you are left with better things. Now, is everybody going to be like-minded? Is everybody going to like the same things that you do? No, that's okay. But in a group like Table Story, we found each other because we like these things. And, we develop these relationships as time goes on. And sometimes you're not super close with some people, and sometimes you are. And you just try to hang on to those ones that you feel really good about. And those people make a positive impact in your life. And you try and keep those connections. And that's what happened with Table Story. Brad and Jay, they brought me in because I had previously role played with Brad, and he saw what I could do, and he was watching what I was doing on my channel, and they were like, hey, do you want to do something on Table Story? And I started Neon Scream, which was a cyberpunk thing. It was my first thing that I did on Table Story. And then my job as a graphic designer was ending because I told my boss there was all kinds of bad stuff, illegal stuff that my boss did. Just to be clear, illegal things that I just kind of rolled with because, I don't know, I was just unhappy already, and I just kind of said, well, I don't deserve those things. But stuff that you're legally supposed to do, as an employer, didn't happen. And I just remember I didn't get paid for a vacation, TwitchCon 2017. I didn't get paid for that vacation.
Oof.
Okay?
And you were supposed to.
You know me. I don't take vacations, dude.
Yeah, no.
So if I took 2 vacations and you're not going to pay me for one of them after 9 years? Are you kidding me? So I told him straight up, I said, I can't do this anymore. And it rocked his world because
Let me guess, you're his best employee. They always screw the best ones. 24/7.
I was doing the job of 3 people. And again, same time that I was doing 4 shows. I just told him, I said, I can't do this anymore, man. And his lease was up, and he had no plan for me leaving. He had no plan. And so his lease was up, and he's like, I think I'm gonna just fold the business. And I said, okay. That was just like that. I was like, all right.
Waiting for you to be like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, all right. You know me, dude. You know, like I don't
when
let
you made
like
your mind up. Your mind's made up.
It's done. Like I'm like, okay. I think he was expecting me like, do you know what you're gonna do? I'm like, no. I just know that I don't want to fucking be here.
Yeah. People ask you, what should I do? You should pay me for that vacation time.
Yeah.
That's a bad time to ask.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah. I was like, no, I'll figure something out. I was like, I got a little money saved. I was like, I can be on unemployment for a little bit. You know, I've been working my whole fucking life, man. Like I can be on unemployment for a little bit. Like I'll be okay. Brad and Jay, I told, I was talking to them, we were chatting or whatever, and I just told them the situation. I was like, listen, I'm not going to have a job, whatever. And they're like, okay. And they had a conversation and they were like, well, what do you need to survive? Like how much do you need to survive? I'm like, okay, this much. And they're like, okay, that's your job. You have to figure out how to get Tablestory to make that much money so that you can survive, and then you're going to be in charge of running the channel, and like you got to figure out all the bullshit. And I did. And then we time was going on, and I brought PB in, and she was in chat for Neon Scream a lot. She was watching Neon Scream.
Now, was she Neon Screaming in chat? Like, or was that...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. And she's PB, and she was real excited in chat and stuff.
So great.
And it was, and I said, Jay, I was like, who is this person? She's like, oh no, I know her. And I was like, would she like to be on the show because somebody's leaving? And he's like, I'll ask her. And she immediately said yes, and she came in. And and then she was in, and then we started role playing together, and it was just really good. And we threw her in the deep end with Stygian Gate, and we're like, okay, if you want to GM something for us, then you have to produce it too, and you got to figure it out. And she's like, okay.
Imagine that conversation. Yeah.
She was panicking. She didn't know how crazy it would be and everything. And she's like, I'm going to do it. Okay. And she did it. And, and it's, and it took her a little while to get the flow going, but she's an awesome storyteller. And she just took a little while to get the production down. It was so much faster than it took for me to get the production figured out. Me and Brad, it took years, to get that stuff. And she does it so much in months. But yeah, and now we have Tablestory.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I remember the first time I was invited to Tablestory, I was working, I was hating life, and I didn't know time zones existed for some reason at the time I was asked, and I passed up on an opportunity. I'm glad I came back because it has been revitalizing. It really revitalized me. It's only I can think about it. You guys don't know, chat, or historians, I should say, how it worked for me. I would ask Wack to do shows when he already had 4. I was like, can I pay you money to do a show? He's like, no, leave me alone, stop. And I was like, but please, I really want to be on another show.
It would just be like that, by the way, literally that.
It would be like that. Literally, I still have the
DM.
I have to have the DMs. Like I'd be like, can I pay you $1,000 to
Be
do
an
a show?
instant no. An
Yeah,
instant.
he literally said nope with a period, and there was no conversation. I was like, dude, just pass him on $1,000. Do you need money? Like what? Yeah, Wack is the type of person. If you don't want to do it, he won't do it. So, you know. And then it got to a point where I asked him again. He was like, "It's gonna, all right." He was like, "You know how much we do a sponsor show for X amount?" I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I ain't doing that."
Well, so it's one of those things. Like we get a lot of emails from sponsors, right? We get a lot. Anybody that has seen a Table Story show, you know how much production and stuff we put in. That stuff takes time.
Yeah.
Whenever we're not doing a show, we're doing a show. We're working on stuff. It's happening. We're either writing stuff, we're working on production. Like right now I've got one show, but like I work on stuff, guys. Like I read systems. Like that's a huge part of stuff. Like we got to figure out what our next show is and like what do we want to do? What's kind of missing right now? Like what don't we have a good showing for on our channel? Have we ever done anything like this? Or like what's a good balance with the other shows that we have? Like we think about all this stuff. And like I read systems. I will like go through and I'll be like, do I like this system? At first it's got to jump out at me and I have to be like, oh, okay, this is a cool concept or whatever. And then I'll research it a little bit more or I'll try and read through the whole thing. And I've read a lot of systems now. To find stuff that I like. That's part of the process. But that's generally what it is.
Yeah, and you know, just to reflect back on what you said about like having like-minded people around, I sit back, I'm an observer. I mean, I may talk a lot, but I do observe a lot. And you know, I had to ask myself, is this what I want to do with these people? Because you get to know people through shows, but when you get into the business aspect, it's a whole nother relationship, because you have to learn how to mess with things that make people timid. Money, time, patience, getting criticized, trust, all that stuff comes into play. And when you think you know someone, you don't know them until you get into that area. But if one person, no one in this group, I can tell you right now, and this is why Table Story is such a special place, no one will watch another person fall. They will go to bat, they will take bullets, they would do anything they have to do to make sure that person is taken care of. And that is why I had to be, I accepted and why I'm a part of it, because when I make a decision, I go in relationships, I go hard, you know? So it's really important to me to see Table Story keep growing. And I have to thank you and Brad and PB for not only, you guys don't understand, they've been doing this for minimum amount of money that, you know, people that put on productions that they put on movie budget stuff, they're not getting that. So it's really a big thank you to you historians to keep this going. That's why
we brought on Frank, by the way.
Yeah, I'm the financial guy. But at the end of the day, when we do the shill shows and stuff, do you think we want to do shill shows? Nah, we don't want to do those. We want to spend more time planning all this great stuff. But we got to do what we got to do, and we're not ashamed to do it. And I really respect that about you. And Brad and PB, that you guys will crawl through dirt if you have to make something happen. And that's really important. So here we are, Table Story 2.0 is coming up. Oh God, it's coming up really soon. There's plans being planned. What would you like to do? Okay, we're getting to that part where you've been doing this for years now. And where would you like to see Table Story go? And how is that going to add to your happiness? Because we hit those peaks, right? Where we're just kind of going on a consistent basis. Where do we meet the uphill glory when it comes to Table Story? Where do you want to be?
I would love to be in a position where we're all doing Table Story full time, where me, you, Brad, and PB are all doing Table Story full time. We are in a spot where we can have a convention and where we can do the occasional live production, like at a convention or something, and where we're creating not just like VOD and podcast content,
Mm-hmm.
but we're also creating like books, and we are in a spot where we are just we are the definitive immersive TTRPG experience, where you know, I would love to have this kind of situation where we have our own convention, and it's like a thing where people get to experience a high level of production live as well.
Yes.
You know, where they get to potentially have a situation where we have GMs that never really get to do that in a high production environment, where they get to sort of try it out, or they get to experience, you know, like if we had fog machines and like, you know, paint, we all had you know, crazy miniatures and stuff set up for like a live production or what have you, and you just have a good time, and we you know, get to have an experience with our community. I mean, that would be the dream, I think. And making enough money where we don't feel hyper pressured every day and we're worried about, you know, just barely we pay rent this month and pay bills, you know, like and that's a thing. Speaking of which, I have to schedule the next show.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. So I typically don't take questions from Twitter during live shows, but there was a really good point, and I think you kind of was like touching on it. So yes, I am a trained actor, and there's so many ideas that float in my head that I'm not going to give any of you because, you know, it's all in planning. But when it comes down to it, yes, the dream is for us to have a studio. The dream is for us to put on big immersive scales of TTRPGs to where it feels like you're watching a movie and something that you can relate to. Because at the end goal, I believe, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we want you to be like, we can do that too. Like, having something, a shared happiness, and something where you feel inspired to create because you see people creating it and having a good time is, to me, is always the ultimate goal. That's a big payout. We just unfortunately have to pay bills. So that's something that I would love to see. Oh man, having a theater space and then being able to have a convention. Someone mentioned TableCon, it'd be so good. And I believe we can get there. It's just going to take a lot of hard work, and you know what? We're not shy at hard work. We love it. I'm my worst boss that I've ever had. I dig in myself, and I know you do too. Like, we work all the time. There's no breaks. There's barely vacations. You know, so breaking it down.
I just like to take this time to mention something about Frank, aka Techniq here.
I am.
Yeah, get wrecked, nerd. When Frank came on, he had to take this view of everything that's going on, right? He had to kind of observe and see what is happening with Table Story, because he wanted to be a part of it, and he knew that he wasn't like really ready to be a GM or anything like that. But his experience and his understanding of how the industry works was like really important to us. So we brought Frank in, and after like a lot of conversations and things that we had, and immediately when Frank came in, he sort of helped us to recognize some things that we kind of have to do as pre-production stuff with, like, okay, we have to make a pitch deck for our shows. We have to make a show Bible. And this has been an evolving process over the last year or so of just like recognizing the steps that we have to take to create a show and what we have to do going forward. If we're going to try and get sponsors, or if we're going to try and do this, we have to realize what's going on with our metrics and those kinds of things. So that's been a big, that's what he's been doing behind the scenes to completely change the way we go about like creating shows in the first place, changing our order of the thought process involved, which has been a challenge for me, especially because my thought process usually for shows was, let me come up with a cool name. Okay. That's the way I've usually started shows, was let me come up with the name first,
Mm-hmm.
I have the general idea of what it's going to be, and then like name, and then okay, now based on this name, let's write the show. And I've changed it. It's been a completely different experience. So that's been a really good thing that we've had with you coming in. He's helped kind of just like get us on a path. We got to organize ourselves. We have to like get our ducks in a row. We have to make sure we're doing this first, and then this, and then this. Don't do any work on the show if we're not going to get these things done, right?
Yep.
And that's been a challenge. But we have to do that moving forward so that we can bring you Table Story 2.0, so that we can bring you these changes. You know, having the logo and things change, getting the merch store, like these are all steps to getting Table Story 2.0 done. And Frank has been integral to that. And I just wanted to take that second to explain what you do for Table Story and how you've been helping.
Thank you. Well, and you know, the hardest thing about transitioning a group of wonderful creative people is that it takes time to go from one way of doing things to go to another, because you don't want to rush people into things because it's going to fall apart. So I can easily just be like, I'm funding this, I'm done, and they won't let me do it. I've tried multiple times, but then I understood the real value of having steps, because they want to be able to do this. If something happens to me, I get sick, you know, God forbid, or anything happens, they got to be able to run the ship. So it's like they're my family, and I've explained this to them. They're family to me. I'm not going to see them fail, period. I'm not going to see them go a month with worrying about bills. None of that stuff's because they wouldn't do that to me. They're not going to let me fail. I'm not going to let them fail. So having you all here, historians, and even being here watching the show, this is huge for me. I get really nervous about shows being perfect. I forgot to record this show. Ha! There it is. There's my failure for the first time in the show. I forgot to hit the record button. It's okay. I got a backup, but what if something happened to it? So that's running in the back of my head while we're doing these interviews. But anyway, it's been glorious. I love Table Story. It's my second job, and literally everybody knows it. So it's great. But anyway, I don't take compliments well. So let's move on off of me. And yeah, let's go with future 2.0 is done now. Let's say everything goes great and you're DMing stuff and you're sitting back and watching this stuff fold. Do you have any regrets at the start of your happiness that you wish you would have taken on, that you're afraid to even admit right now?
I think small ones. I don't think any real, like, I don't think there's any huge ones really. Mm-hmm. It's just little things, you know, like little stupid things that I've done, you know, bad choices or whatever. I don't think it's anything significant. I think it's a learning process, and this stuff is tough, man. There's no, you know, you don't have like there's not a lot of people that do this. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody kind of looks at Critical Role. Yeah. Right? It's like, oh, this is this big successful show. They make, you know, they're the giant piles of money or whatever. How come everybody else isn't doing this? You know, well, people try. It's really freaking hard. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. And there's you're rolling a giant D20 on life to see, you know, they rolled a natural 20 with theirs. They hit the lottery because they put in the work, they were good, and they also got really lucky. You know? Yeah, luck has a lot to do with it. It's a combination of many things, but yeah, it's like lightning in a bottle. So I think the healthiest way to look at all this stuff isn't really looking at regrets. It's more along the lines of like, well, I did that wrong. How do we not do that again? How do we do it better? And if I have to say anything like in particular, it's probably like not being more business minded early, you know, or you know, but again, I can't really fault myself for that. It's never been my strength. You know, it's like I've never been a really good business person, and you know, I know the same thing goes for Brad as well. And PB, we don't. I don't want to say we don't think about money, but like, it's not gonna influence our creativity to the point where we won't do something, you know?
Yeah.
And that's an actual problem. Like, that's
a big
not
problem.
Yeah. So like, that would be the part. It would be like, okay, we needed a business person right at the start.
Right.
And to come in, it would have been, if you had joined us like day one or something, and you're like, okay guys, this is how we have to lay out, this is what we have to do to make money, this is how we organize our thought process for creating a show. These are the steps, this is the list. That would have helped tremendously.
Yeah, we would have been way up there. But I don't like to discredit the idea that experience does lead to a bigger nest egg in the end. We've learned a lot along the way. You know, outside of TTRPGs, I've learned a lot because I had to run my own. I got duped on by agencies. In the acting world, you're a pawn. Now I won't go into details, but you're a pawn, and you think you're in control. You're not. You're never in control. And then the same thing happens in the gaming industry. You think you're in control. The gaming industry is this big. All it takes is one person to ruin you. All it takes is one person to make you. And I've learned that over the years. So I said, you know what? I get myself up. Who's going to pay my bills when they go bad? It's me. So I need to start taking control. And I went to Table Story 3.5 years ago. It was bad timing, but I was just like, hey, you guys could be doing a lot more. And they were like, hey, yeah, but, and so not to throw anybody in the bus, historians, you don't understand how much they think about you before they think about themselves. Okay. They will put on a high production. If they say they're going to do something by April 21st, if it's not done, they're losing sleep. They're planning this thing out. They're all working together to get it done and not make a dime on it, because to them, showing creativity and giving you guys something to dream about and imagine about is the most important thing. Granted, that's important, but they have to make money.
I got to cut you off there.
Okay. Go for it.
There's that exists. That is the thing. But it's a little bit more selfish than that.
Okay, tell me.
Because there is a part of each of us, me, Brad, and PB. They talk about the fact that they're not competitive. I'm going to call bullshit.
I'm going to laugh at that one, yeah.
I'm going to call bullshit. They're like, there's not a competitive bone in my body. There's a thing where it's not, I guess it's not pure competitiveness, but it's more along the lines of, we got to get it out. It's like when you create something, when you have this epiphany and you're like, I got a show, I got the idea, I got to do it. I have to follow through on this. We have that. I think each of us has that, where it's like, what do you want me to not do this? Are you insane? It's one of those kinds of situations where we just have to get the idea out, or we have to do it. And we're neurodivergent in our own ways, where we're just like, okay, I got to do this thing. It's got to happen. So there's definitely thought about chat. There's definitely thought about like, oh, well, we got to put on a good show or whatever. But there's also a lot of that, you know, a little bit of competitiveness of like, hey, listen, you have to see what Brad did, what PB did. I look at that stuff and I'm like, I got to do better.
Yeah, it's a ladder.
I got it. It's like when PB did the intro for Blade Runner, I'm slamming my head against the desk.
I lost my shit.
You know, I'm like, what the fuck did you just do? I'm like, what the fuck did you just do? And you know, again, there's a behind the scenes aspect. Frank is trying to get us to do all our ducks in a row. Meanwhile, PB is just like, I've got an idea for an intro. Let's turn off Discord. Frank doesn't exist. And just now, my entire life is finishing this intro for Blade Runner, and it's going to be the greatest thing that anyone has ever seen.
And I'm here like, she hates me. She doesn't talk to me anymore.
Yeah. Like, no, dude. She hasn't slept in 5 days.
She's in PB mode. Yes, I know it now. And then when I see the product, I'm like, this should be on freaking Prime Video. Like that's
hey, I mean, everybody kind of gets what goes on at this point at Table Story. You know, I'm running one show right now. I gotta be running another show coming up soon. It's most likely gonna be something that I'm doing. Okay. I gotta fucking follow that shit.
Yeah, good luck.
Follow Cura. I gotta follow Cura, and I gotta follow Blade Runner. Come on, man. What the fuck?
It's a ladder system. I see it. It's hilarious to me because I'm holding my head like, oh boy. The moment I saw Blade Runner intro, I was just like, I was like, you all right, bud? Because I was just like, that intro was insane, and even the credits insane. I'm just like, okay, PB is she should be behind the camera. Like it just gotta happen. But this is what I love. I feed off of it. It's having all these creative minds together and having the healthy competition of I gotta outdo this show or learning something from the previous shows is great. And we see it. We see pieces of everyone's show in each other show coming up, you know? Because I mean, hey, don't discredit yourself. 100 Club's intro was hot. All right. And then PB saw it and she lost her crap on it. And then now her intro is just like, wow. Okay. But it's just lovely. It's just lovely seeing these minds work. It's lovely seeing it. I want to remind everyone, if you have questions, I know you have questions and I love it. Please put it in the Discord. That way I can actually sit there and read it and think about it and put it there. Please, please, please. I remind you to please do that. It makes so much better for me to keep up with everything and we can make sure those questions come out. Now, Wack, these are the questions I like to get into when it comes to the end, close to the end of the show. I can't believe this has already almost been 2 hours.
I can, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. You ain't feeling it because I can tell. I can tell from experience when people are ready to go to sleep. And if you're ready to go to sleep on one of my interviews, you're gonna have a problem. At the end of the day, when you turn off the camera, okay, when the shows are done, do you have that sit back and say, damn, that felt good? Or are you just like, God, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with my life? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's be honest here. And if you do have those days, what do you do to get back up again?
Yeah, it's the short answer is both. It's both. I mean, I think, whenever you run a long-term show, not every episode is going to be the best thing you've ever done. It's not going to happen. There's so many variables that happen. First of all, you're not the only person that's doing the show. Okay. You've got a cast.
Yeah.
Is everybody in high spirits every session? You can't expect that with everybody. Everybody's a human being. People have bad days. People have good days. Some people feel sick. Some people are in deep depression and they just can't summon forth their best performance. Sometimes that can be difficult. You can't control everything. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I will give to any aspiring GM or DM is that you can't control everything. Don't expect to. Do the best job that you can, and you can't really be upset at that point. So there's definitely sessions where I'm just like, man, that was really freaking good. I felt really good about that. And, we'll have a really good response. Or we'll get a lot of views on something because, hey, we have to be realistic. This is a content creation job. Those metrics are important. We have to worry about numbers. Yeah. We have to say hey, this show was great. How come it didn't have any views?
Yeah.
Is it marketing? Is it, there's so many different variables that go into everything. Sometimes we do a show and we just say, man, I should have done this, and this better. I could have done a way better job on the production. I dropped the ball on this one, whatever. That happens. You have weeks that you just don't feel good. There are weeks where you just kind of say, I'm definitely not at my best. I'm still going to do a show. I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to get it done. But after the show is done, you'll be like, man, that wasn't I just didn't feel good about it for whatever reason. That happens. It happens a lot. So that's always a tough pill to swallow. you know, and then you might have like bad comments or something on something that you worked really hard on.
Yeah.
You know, like people, I think there's a combination of a few different things when you get like bad comments or like people just like some people don't think, sometimes people don't care, sometimes people think that they're kind of speaking into a void and like there's nobody really reading what they say or anything along those lines. Like I've had situations where you know, I've shown comments like PB and Brad, and like PB's really good about handling like bad comments and stuff. She's like, she'll like go on to like a YouTube comment or something and respond to it and make the person not realize that they just got ripped a new asshole.
Yeah.
But she did in like the nicest, like non-ass, like passive aggressive way.
Say HR, man. And
make them think that they were in the wrong. And like they were.
Yeah.
And she made them realize that. I don't know how to do that shit. I can't fucking do it. But there are definitely those days. There's good days and there's bad days, just like anything else. I mean, it's when you do content creation, it's tough, man. It's tough. You're not at 100% every day. There are some days when you're at 25% for whatever reason. You didn't sleep. You didn't, you know, you're feeling, you know, like you're stressed out about something. You're a human being. And that's the thing that people just can't process sometimes. We're doing this live.
Yep.
Our GMs, in most cases, okay, aside from like some guest GMs, we are producing everything live. It's all improv. This isn't a writer's room. We don't have a script. We're doing this live. As a GM, I have to remember all of these different things. I got to remember system rules. I got to remember general story flow of where I need to sort of guide people and help them tell their stories. I have to remember all of the production stuff. I got to keep an eye on chat. I've shown my family my setup during a show.
Spaceship, yeah.
I have broken everything down to them before. They can't wrap their head around it. They can't process it. If you brought what we do on a daily basis to a producer or a technical person for television or movies, they would lose their fucking mind. They have whole teams that do this stuff. There's somebody that's just watching the stream and like, okay, our connection's okay. Okay, let's worry about the chat. Like, you know, is everybody coming through clear? What do we do if the stream disconnects? You know, they've got people to worry about that stuff. They've got a writer's room that's writing the script, checking stuff. Oh, this bit of the history here, that's wrong. Oh, your physics, that's wrong. We don't have anybody. We're doing this shit live.
Yeah.
It's improv. On my notes, I got bullet points. So, absolutely, we have both of those days.
Yeah.
And you can't come down on yourself too hard, because if you do, you'll never make it. Because it's a lot of that. That's going to happen a lot. It's just part of it.
So the follow-up question to that is, outside of TTRPGs, all this production, bad shit happens all the time. People get on your nerves. You have, you know, a bad experience driving, you have crappy neighbors, whatever may happen. When you have a really bad day and you know you got to put a show on that day, how do you snap back to get back into work mode? Your happiness. How are you able to put on a good show still for that? Or do you call it and say, I just can't do this?
It's got to be really bad. So I feel like my mentality changed as a person, and this is a weird bit of history to bring up in regards to this, I guess. I was thinking about this earlier before we started. I had a kidney stone when I was 17.
Holy moly.
Yeah, 17 in college. I didn't know my roommates. It was like a month into college. I didn't really know them. I didn't trust anybody. I went to the hospital myself. They didn't even know that I had a kidney stone. They found out afterwards when I called them and from the hospital and like let them know. I didn't understand pain until I had a kidney stone. I didn't understand what a 10 was on the pain scale until I had a kidney stone. And it's both a good and a bad thing because my pain threshold and my emotional tolerance threshold is so ridiculous now that I will suffer in horrific emotional or physical pain and I won't do anything. So it kind of inoculated me against some stuff that ends up being good and bad. I feel like to survive in life, you kind of want to be a little bit of like a hypochondriac, just a little bit. Not to the point where you're going to the doctor every week, but to the point where if like something's going wrong, you're like, that's not right. Let me go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Those are the people that live to 150. You know, I don't do that.
And it'll be fine.
I'm the opposite.
Put some salt on it.
Yeah, like I mean, you remember when I sprained my ankle? It was a really bad sprain, really, really bad. Okay, my sister is a vet. Okay, so she's gone through medical school. All right, I showed her a picture, and she's like, "Oh my God." Go to the doctor. You need an X-ray. Like, go to get an X-ray. I'm like, I walked home. What? You walked on that? Yep. Did you do anything? I was like, yeah. I didn't notice I was bleeding when I got home. Like, my knee was bleeding pretty badly. Because I landed and my other knee came down and smacked against the ground.
Yeah, that's when it hurts when you notice it.
Ooh. Yeah, so like it's a good and a bad thing because like I can take an insane amount of like emotional or physical damage, and it will allow me to push forward and get stuff done.
You're like, it could be worse. Could be a kidney stone.
Yep. Exactly.
I got it.
Yeah. So it's a situation where it's a good and a bad thing, and I will generally push through. It's got to be really, 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 really bad for me to not do a show. It's 99% of the time, if a show is canceled, it's because we had some stupid situation come up where it's like, the cast maybe had like a bad scheduling issue or like they had an emergency or something along those lines. That's usually or technology. We have a technology breakdown.
Right.
Internet's not working. Power's out. Other than that, I'm pushing forward. I'm doing it because this is the thing that makes me happy. So if that's the thing that makes me happy, I guess it's the thing that's probably going to make me feel better too.
That's very well put. That's very well put. I love it. Well, there you go. There you have it. This is the life of Chris, aka Wacksteven. If it makes you happy and you're having a bad day, you keep going through it. It may make you happy through that bad times. That makes a lot of sense. I like that. I never really put those two and two together, funny enough. Unfortunately, we are at the end of the show, but before we go, we have another tradition. Dang, Frank, you and your traditions. Yes, we do. If you had to give advice to anybody out there right now, you've been through a lot of stuff in life. You have a good bit of experience on a lot of people that are just now getting into the internet scene, especially with TTRPGs and self-discovery. What would you say right now, either to your younger self or a message to the public to keep going?
I mean, the obvious thing for my younger self is like, hey, try out TTRPG.
Hey, idiot, wake up!
Yeah. Try and figure out the things that make you happy and do them. I mean, if you genuinely don't feel happy, try and step outside your comfort zone. Go outside your comfort zone and try and find some things that do make you happy. Devote some of your time to finding a hobby or something that you genuinely enjoy and makes you feel joy. Don't put it to the side. That's an important part of life. If you're just living your life and you're not happy, is it really life?
You only have one.
Yeah.
Well put. Take risk. Me going to full-time content creation was the first time I've taken a real risk on life. I was always in cruise control because, my mom, I come from a very strict background, and they paint the path. If you knew my background, my ethical background, everything, the path is already there. The moment you're born, the pavement is set and you follow that path. You don't derail, you don't go left or right, you go into it. And if you want to go left and right, you hit that speech of, hey, 18 years old, you're more than welcome to get out and do that. But here you do this. So I never took risk, and I was always afraid. And the moment I took a risk, I said it was one of the best moments of my life. I literally felt like I was reborn. So it's really nice to see. My favorite part of this whole interview was seeing you light up when you talked about. I literally watched your life in 2 hours. You went from like the way you talked about that old job, you hated it. You could tell. You see, it smelled bad. You could just see the emotion in your face. But when you talk about TTRPGs and when you finally found it, you lit up. And I think that's something that I'm so glad we did this show live so everyone can see it live. And it's been a pleasure knowing you, man. Like, you've helped me so much. You're definitely the big brother I never had, and it's been great being able to sit there and talk to you and confide in you when times were really bad. During COVID times, we had like a little bro moment. It was great, and ever since then we just click, and we got the pleasure of finally hanging out in person, and it was even better. It was like zero issues. Like, we knew what each other needed, thought about. It was great. And I needed people like that in my life. And that's why I can keep going. So I appreciate you as a brother, as a GM, as a storyteller, as a business partner. Find someone like that in life for you guys that you can confide in. I feel the same way about Brad and PB. It's like, once you surround yourself with people that have that passion and goals, and then we can all see the finish line together, that's a beautiful thing. And we talk about hitting the big times, and I always wanted to be a big time actor and make all this money and change the world. Honestly, that's the win. The money is just icing on the cake. It's good icing. But at the end of the day,
some icing.
Yeah, I need some icing. Hey guys. But at the end of the day, like, having people to share these emotions with and have those down times where, hey, you've fallen down. One thing I like about this gentleman right here is he'll look at you falling, like, yeah, buddy, you okay down there? Huh? You all right? He's not gonna be like, hey, let me give you all the tools to get you up. Be like, he cares enough to let you struggle a little bit just so you can learn your lesson. And I'm the same way. I really appreciate that. With all that saying, everyone, welcome to season 2 of Under the Table. It's been a successful show. Thank you so very much. Before we go, Wacksteven, please give the audience something to look forward to, where they can find you, obviously. But still, it's something that we always do.
Okay, here's the details for my next show. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no.
I was about to PR this and cut it.
Just cut it off.
Yeah.
Just cut. That would have been a good ending. That would have been good.
It would have been just like the shows. Damn it. Next time.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell to say. Frank, you did a great job coming up with these shows. We got a lot of stuff coming up this year, folks. We're really, really trying very, very hard this year. And there's been a lot of like sleepless nights. There's been a lot of really difficult moments as well. Just trying to get work done, trying to find motivation through depression and everything is just it's a tough thing. But we are trying our best to bring you an even better table story experience and a sustainable one for us, so that we can actually, be human beings and survive and make a little bit of money and not feel like we are dying. every day. So, there's going to be some changes with Table Story, with how we run shows, how we do things, how we reach out to sponsors, and most importantly, we're gonna need your help as a community, because we're gonna be doing things that will be involving you, and will be asking for your help, not just monetarily, but also to be an active community to help us be a better table story in general. Mm-hmm. So prepare yourselves for Table Story 2.0. It's going to be kind of rolling out over a little bit of time, and I think it's going to be really good for us overall, and we're going to put out some really great stuff for you.
Damn right. Well said. And to end that, I want to let everyone know that there is, if you look at the info section, you might notice some brand new, beautiful graphics there. So definitely take some looks at those things, click those links. But the most important thing I want you all to take a look at, and we don't talk about it enough, there is a tracker right there. It says Partner Plus. There's some announcements that have been made that I can finally start talking about through Twitch that made it easier to get some Partner Plus things. Please, by all means, check that out. Let's get to that goal. It doesn't have to be today, but over time, it will help out tremendously if we hit that goal. For a whole year, it'll help out. So let that be something that we get. Next chill show, we're going to be shooting for that as well. So please know that 350 subs can get us to an amazing goal to help out Table Story so much for a whole year. Okay. And then we have to refresh it next year, but we're close. We have 119 right there. We can get that number up to 350. That's not a problem. So tell your friends, tell your families, anybody that's interested in TTRPG. It is for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. Please feel free to check it out. Check out Table Story, because everyone is welcome to our table, and that's what we try to do. Okay. With further ado, I would like to thank you all for being here. Storians, thank you so much for participating. And I would like to special thanks to Brad Wodo for putting together such amazing videos in Godspeed time. He's incredible. Wack, thanks for getting all the preparation with me and being prompt about things and getting me here. And PB, thanks for pushing me to do this again, especially live. That was nice. So everyone, from my heart to your heart, thank you so very much for being a part of Table Story. Thank you so much for the premiere of Under the Table Season 2, and we will see you next week. Oh, goodness gracious. I can't believe I said that. Next week at 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday for another guest. And I will not say who the guest is, so make sure you stay tuned to the Discord. And if you haven't been a part of Discord, get in there, because we have a lot of information.
He's got to figure it out.
Yeah, I got to figure it out. Anyway, I mentioned about having honest friends. Fuck them. Anyway, moving on. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so very much. Hopefully I hit the right button. And if I don't, oh well. Make sure.
She'll show soon.
Yeah.
You'll know when I know.
Yep. There you go. All right. So I'm going to explain this how it's going to work. I was going to do all this production thing in the bio. You're going to see a thanks for watching thing pop up. But stick around, because there's a message from Brad that you need to watch. And after that, we're going to go and raid someone. So make sure you guys get your ducks in a row, get your fish, your scream emotes, whatever you want to do. We're going to flood that chat. All right. See you guys soon.